right. Take two or three, I guess.
Okay. Moving to a different room. Okay. Listen, it's going to be great. Okay. What were you saying before this? The community.
Yeah. So you asked about if I noticed how strong the sense of community was when I went to school in New York. And I think no. Yeah. Just because I maybe took it for granted because I already had such a network of people that I already spent so much time with.
Right.
But coming and being there alone, really, I was able to feel it in a way more palpable way.
Yeah.
To my sad surprise, I was fully ready to be completely disillusioned, and instead it was just so fun.
You're like, it's going to be, fantastical and whatever. Yeah, I totally get that. Oh my God, that's amazing. How, okay, but like, tell me about the show too, because we didn't really talk about the show. I haven't really heard how it went and how rehearsals went and how the people were. I mean, I did hear most of that, but not all of it. Just how young they were, maybe.
I think it's interesting because I know that you relate to this too, but when you're little and you're like, I want to be an actor. Mm-hmm. The thing that makes you want to do it is that you're in community with people again. Mm-hmm. Like you're rehearsing, you're making something together. The thrill of performing in front of people and the sort of danger of it going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of
theater.
Oh my God, yeah. The adrenaline is just incredible. Mm-hmm. And as you get older and as there's different kinds of opportunities, a lot of that stuff that made, at least for me, that made me want to be an actor becomes less. Like there's less rehearsal. There's less time. I mean, I know that we've spoken about this too, just like in general on the internet, how there's so much discussion about the business and the trades, and especially with like the strike stuff. Like there's so much going on that has nothing to do with actually the art of doing anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course that has to exist, but especially in times of saturation with biz talk.
The industry.
Here's the hard truth about it's like, we all know the hard truth. But when it came to the show, it was just so nice to be in a rehearsal room again, being the first person to play a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. New shows are really cool that way.
Yeah. And, especially because everyone was in such collaboration with each other. And the timeline was really fast. So it was an interesting process because on the one hand, I was so stoked to have a rehearsal process. And on the other hand, it was so fast.
Yeah.
By the time it was opening night, we had only done the show with tech all the way through once.
Whoa.
So by the time we closed, everyone was like, wow, this feels really good.
I know. We could do 2 more weekends, maybe more.
Yeah. But
how many shows did you technically have? 2 or 3?
Three shows. 3. Yeah,
okay.
3 shows. I mean, every show was sold out.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Which was cool. It wasn't a huge house, but it was like 200 some seats.
That's still a lot.
And it was really special because when I was at NYU, I was in the Playwrights Horizons Theater School, which was kind of like a spiritual sister to the off-Broadway theater on 42nd Street. And I had done my orientation there because that was like the mothership of my program in college. And this production went up at Playwrights Horizons in their sort of satellite space. So it felt very cosmic in that way.
Very full circle-y.
Yeah, very full circle-y.
That's amazing. Oh my God. Feelings, emotions, all the things.
Yeah, all the things. It really lit something within me. And it's funny now because there's a trend in LA where people have screenplays that they're putting on as plays because of the strike.
Sure. That's cool.
Which is interesting. We'll see how that kind of
pans out.
Yeah.
I know, because especially if it's a screenplay written for the screen, it might not translate.
Yeah, it might just be a weird play or a very boring play.
Or it'll be great.
Or great. Or great. Or it's a great way to get free rehearsal time from people or cheap rehearsal time from people while you're raising money for your movie.
Yeah. What was the show about that you did? You told me, but remind me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was called Regarding the Disappearance of Amy. And it was about a girl who went missing and the different people in her life that they interrogate, basically, to see sort of what happened to her.
Yeah.
And the play really at its root is about identity and living on through the way that others perceive you.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun because you had all these different characters that had very different experiences of this girl that the audience never really gets to know.
Interesting.
So it's a really fun mosaic thing that ended up, in the initial draft of the play, like that I got, it was separated into different endings.
Oh.
So depending on how the audience interacted with it, it would have a different ending.
Oh, how did they choose that though? Like, how did the audience interact?
Well, it would have been, we actually ended up doing it a different way where all of the endings played out at the same time.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened. Which was cool, and you could kind of like track a way in which it was consistent. So like my story was true and the next person's story was true and the next person's story was true.
Wait, it reminds me, are you familiar with the musical If Then? Idina Menzel.
I have heard of it, but I don't know the details. Can you tell me? Can you give me the play-by-play of If Then?
I literally wouldn't know it.
I would never think I would say.
No, I actually truly wouldn't know it if I wasn't in it. I was in it a while back, but in the ensemble. But basically, the premise is kind of or not premise, but it's briefly kind of what you're talking about, where if this happens, then this happens, and there's two different endings, and it's like interwoven together, and like Idina Menzel's character is like basically never leaving the stage because she always has either she's this person or this person, and it's like showing you how you end up in like different same places, but like a lot of the stuff that happens is very similar anyway, so like take the road you're going to take because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? At least that's what I get from it. Obviously, art can be interpreted different ways. But the reason I'm talking about If Then is because, like, even for me being in it, a part of me was like, how are audiences going to follow this? Because sometimes it was really tricky to see, like, which character is she now? And even
that always helps.
Members would sometimes get tripped
luckily,
up. And like,
here's the interesting thing.
Like, was that in one character she had glasses and one she didn't.
The audience perception was really positive and interested because there's something not, there's something kind of inconclusive about the play. There's something kind of ambiguous about exactly what you're meant to believe. And I think people like those endings, right? I mean, I'm an Inception girly, so I'm like this like played into all of my film bro instincts. But I think that there's a real
like
there's the thing that happens where people underestimate the audience, and everyone came out with their own sort of theories and ideas and wondering, well, I think it was this. I think it was this. Well, I believe, well, I don't know. I think that so-and-so, well, if this happened, then, and I wouldn't have always anticipated people be leaning in that much.
I think you're so right about that, though, where we underestimate the audience. We're like, audiences are stupid. They're not going to get it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and especially because, like, I know I mentioned this to you, but the playwright is super young.
But I think that's really,
and this was her first full-length play. And the characters were so rich and complicated. Like, that's why I wanted to do it. I read this character, and her scene the callback scene was so complicated and messy and interesting and meaty and fun to play. And so I had such a fun time with that tape. It was literally a one and done. I never do that. I literally never do that. But it was a long day. I had taped literally so many tapes that day. I taped for, well, a struck project. No, I taped for a struck project, and I loved the sides. But it was a lot. It was like more of something more comedic, and then it was like hefty. And then the next, I had one of those that I talked to you about, where it was a movie. They're hoping to keep the same cast, but they want to do it as a play first, and whatever. And they wanted me to read 2 different characters for that. So there were 2 different monologues that were a lot. And and then
oh my god,
no. I mean, they were really fun. Again, like I think in this time, I'm really trying to let material be the guiding light and see what that really does.
Mia.
Thank you, Holly. And then at the very end of the day, because I didn't need Jake to read with me for the monologues. But I needed him for that first set of sides. So I had done the first set on a separate day. And then it was just like, I had a lot of pages. Like when I added it up, it was like the most pages I've had to do in one day by a lot. It was over 20 pages.
Yikes. That's scary.
Yeah. And just like very different characters, like the emotional whiplash. But I saved this callback scene for this play for the very last thing. And at that point, I was really prepped on it. I was really ready for it. There was a bug. I could hear it. And I just sat down and did it. And Jake was like, I think that's it. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you know what, Mia, I think
we're good. We got it.
I think we're really good. And not that I ever asked him to, but like, that's not his normal like thing. Like he would never be like that. That's not normal behavior. And I was like, okay, well, I should do at least another one for safety. Like, and I was getting myself all ready to go back in, and I watched it and I was so proud of my work. And it's been so long since I've felt like I could look at a tape and be like, that's what I can do. And feeling really feeling good, like very, very good about what I was able to do on the tape. And at that point, it just felt like a win. Like that was the win. That was really the win that I needed at that point.
That is like so heavy to me right now to hear that, because it's been a while, like you said. I feel like that's also few and far between. You know what I mean? When that happens, because we're so not overprotective, but hard on ourselves. You know what I mean? And just like, no, I could do it better. That's why we end up doing 20 takes, especially in self-taping times. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I miss people a lot. And I think that there's a real, it was a moment of, wow, I'm really glad I have this on tape.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because that could have been an audition that felt really good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That would have been great. But it's also like, I don't know, when the offer for the show came through, I was able to show my team the work that got me the part.
Yeah.
And that's a nice tool to have as an actor. And I think it's really responsible for helping me maintain good relationships with my reps, because they know the work that I'm doing, that it's not some sort of abstract hope.
Yeah, totally.
Because it used to truly be that. Like when I think about, we would go to auditions and I'd, text my manager like, oh, it went great.
Yeah.
And I think I have a pretty fair barometer, but also, I don't know. No, it's different than having the footage, having the receipts.
Yeah. Well, like being behind the table is so different. And I feel like now agents kind of have that energy now when they see the self-tapes that they have to submit on Actors Access or whatever. I feel like now mostly it depends on, I guess, how long you've had your agent, because I feel like a lot of times for me, my agent is just like, okay, submit, and doesn't really look at it anymore, which is fine. Or maybe she doesn't, or maybe she does rather. I should ask her. But also I'm talking about my commercial agent, which, to be fair, like, I don't really mind if you look or not. Like, some of them are very silly and weird anyway, so it's like not a big deal.
I don't know. I love your I remember we did, because like I know that I've read with you for a couple commercial auditions that are so fun. Like I don't have a commercial agent. I don't go out on commercials, not by choice. I would love to go out.
They are fun, and they're
I would love to. It is not something that I'm avoiding at all. Like I would love to. But it's just not something that I'm used to dealing with regularly. So seeing the gymnastics that you have to do for some of these tapes is incredible. And you always handle it with such grace and charm and personality that Holly chutzpah.
Thanks, Mia. Oh my God. It's just really funny to me. Like some of the things that people are like, that these casting directors or directors in general are asking us to do. Or like they'll ask for acting range for like something that does not have acting range. Like, yeah. Like literally one time we were supposed to like fall on the floor and like do some sort of like, shoot, what was it? Oh, it was that tandem bike thing that I think I sent to you. I'll never forget that one. We were like supposed to be on a tandem bike and then fall off because like the battery is low on something, and like your battery is low, and I was like, there's no way that you can do this like in a grounded, realistic, take all your acting tools and put this in. I was like, what? I mean, I did it as best as you can. You can only do so much, but that's when you treat it with comedy, I guess, and just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're fun. They're definitely entertaining, but it's just, what do you... And then they ask for like, they're not doing as much anymore, but they'll ask for like 3 different scenes. And like they want you to like cut them together. It'll be like, and I'm like, am I the producer on this? Are you paying me to edit? Like, what? It's so wild. And that like also brings me back a little bit. Now I'm just ranting, but it does remind me of some of the job interviews I've heard people go on, like where they have to go through like 7 rounds of interviews or like do an actual project management like job. And I'm like, are you getting paid for that? Like, because they want to show how they can do it. And I'm like, no. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we do it because we like it, but yeah.
That's time means something.
Yeah.
Like post 2020, pandemic, everything. Mm-hmm. It's all about time.
Yeah.
And when you tell me the story of the person who's applying for a job, doing the job to see if they can do the job.
Right.
It's so easy to get, like, it's like a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
But I guess some people would say that auditions are kind of that too, but I don't particularly agree with that in the same way.
Well, it depends on I think the weight of it, or like how much it is, because when I hear those stories, they're doing the job. Whereas an audition for me, at least in my experience, apart from those like handful of ones where I was talking about scenes needing to be cut together, are like a little section. Like, here's 5%, you know what I mean? Here's a section of what I can do. And that is valid and legitimate. And like, you obviously have to see if I can do it. You know what I mean? But like,
right.
They're not giving me, 20 pages of like the most meaty crying scene or something like that. At least in my experience. Like, obviously, crying scenes are a thing, or deep scenes, whatever. But like 20 pages of a like production is not what I've been given. So 3 to 5.
Well, and it seems like well, I was gonna say, I have a scene. I remember doing a scene with you for one of your tapes that was a sorority girl movie.
Oh, yeah. That is so funny. You remember that. That's funny.
No, I remember it really well because you were so good in it, in the tape.
Honey.
You're so good in the tape that I still use those sides I use those sides with my acting students sometimes.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's so fun.
It's actually, that one was, I remember that being like a little bit more, I don't know, rangy, for lack of a better word. Like, I don't know. I felt like it went somewhere, kind of.
That's why I use it. I think it's actually for what it is. It's one of those because, again, people will say, oh, yeah, I graduated college and I spent 4 years working on Shakespeare and now I don't know how to say, do you want fries for a McDonald's commercial.
Yeah.
I think to a degree that sentiment is really overblown, but I do think that people need to know how to do scenes like that. Mm-hmm. Like that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the title. We're not talking about it by title, but basically.
Right. I don't know it either.
I know it so well, the sides. Well, because it's like, it's that formula that I think that you should always know, which is that first scene is always going to be the hardest scene because nothing particularly interesting happens in it. Mm-hmm. But it's the first scene that they're going to watch and say, do I buy this girl as this person? Mm-hmm. And then the next scene is going to be the hard scene, but it's actually going to be easier because your wants and goals are clearer and the stakes are higher. So you read those sides and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to cry in the second scene? But really you should be like, how can I talk about my mom's Van Halen records like I actually know what the hell I'm talking about? You know?
I love that you know those sides. It's all coming back to me now because I'm like, oh, right, I did say something about Van Halen. Oh my God. I wasn't playing the sorority mom though, right? I had a line about a sorority mom or something, right?
Yeah, there's a part.
Yeah, just repeat it.
I'm like a historian on this.
Something about the sorority mom won't be here to fix it or something. Yeah,
there's like your rival sorority girlfriend comes in and is like, we're supposed to have an ice cream social, but there's no ice cream.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, I guess I forgot. Sorry. Yeah. Whoever you are. Like, cause the reason I like these sides for my students is because this sorority girl is not, the whole point is she's like not like the other girls.
Right.
So it's a dumb actor in quotes would just read that she's a sorority girl and make all these assumptions, but actually the whole point is she's kind of subverting that. Mm-hmm. And you talk about how they need to like, they're going to get a new sorority mom soon or whatever, but you forgot to buy the ice cream for the ice cream social. And this girl's like really mean to you about it and you don't care.
Right.
That's what you're remembering.
Oh my God. That is so great. Oh my gosh. That is so lovely. I love that you use those.
Yeah, I use them all. I'm literally like all of my acting classes that I've taken, all of my random auditions, all my friends' random auditions, all these
that's
plays.
A great idea.
Like, I just hoard scenes. So if you need them, anytime.
Oh my God, great to know. I didn't realize you were still teaching. Are you still doing that a lot?
Yes.
Oh
yes, I want to be doing it more. It's so rewarding and it's so fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's been really cool. Like one of my students, I don't know if I told you about him. He's a model and has sort of transitioned into acting, has taken it very seriously to the point he's based in the UK, and he had really wanted to do one of those, like I guess it is sort of different. The way that their industry works over there, which is not something I'm particularly familiar with.
Sure.
But he wanted to do, make a sort of speed reel and hire a production company to do it for him. And since I've been working with him for years at that point, he had me write 3 different scenes that were catered to him and the kinds of projects he wanted to do.
Oh.
And they shot them, and like he like has his own like reel of all of his work and all of the things he that really sort of showcases his strengths. And the production company that he worked with was like, oh, these are really great. Usually people just kind of use whatever
Mm-hmm.
and like try to make it work. But like these are actually really good scenes.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, thank you. But also it's like that's actually the key. Like when the writing is good, it's easier to be good.
Yes. Oh my God. Hello.
And they were like, yeah, like these especially because he wanted to do one that was geared towards Americans because he wanted to show his American accent. And they were like, yeah, especially the American scene that she had you do, or the American scene that you brought in. That's an interesting thing because we don't have a lot of people that can generate that just because it's like humor is so specific. You know, like British humor is very specific too. So it was cool to be like, oh, hey, like I reached out to them because my student had told me, it's like, they really enjoyed your writing and I'm sure they would want to hear more from you when it comes to like generating more things for people who want to use their services that are geared towards the American market.
Yeah. Wait, so he's actually British though?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And he did like an American accent and everything too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, good for him.
I know. And then one of my, the student that I had her since she was in middle school. And now she just moved to New York to start her musical theater program. She got a full ride.
Whoa.
I'm so excited for her. She was like, oh, so can I have your phone number now? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like,
yeah, you can.
She's like the sweetest. She's the sweetest. And so talented. And so especially during the pandemic and also during the strike, it's been really, really, really great to be able to work with other actors on their journey and especially like mentor younger women who are doing this because I think about, you know, when I was younger, I didn't have someone older than me to answer questions about, is this legit?
Yeah,
is
totally.
this normal? Should I respond to this or that? Am I being too green? Am I not being, do I need to be knocked down a little bit here? Like, what's the vibe? And I would have loved if I was, especially like when I was in Michigan in high school or whatever, to have someone who's actually like in it available to help.
Yeah.
And
or just ask somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. How do you get those students? Is that through like a company or something?
No. I post on Backstage.
Oh, okay. I know I want you to do that more too.
I know, I need to do it. I really would like to do it more. It's just, again, time.
Yeah, totally. Well, if that could, I don't know, if that could replace the time that you're spending on stuff that you don't want to do. I always go through cycles of that where I think about that, but I'm like, I can't because of this other thing.
Yeah, I think that that's a good energy to take into the rest of this year and into next year, which is like more of what we want to do, less of what we don't.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Well, and also just understanding that a lot of the things we don't want to do are to serve things we do want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been a really helpful way for me to think about things because it's so easy to get down on yourself for whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, maybe I don't want to do A, B, C, and D, but A, B, C, and D are going to help me do that thing, you know?
Yeah.
Are going to give me the freedom to do this at another time or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do the laundry right now. Right?
Yes. I know. That's how I'm feeling right now with my current job situation, as we've talked about many a time. But, I mean, it is helping me as far as, like, money-wise. I will feel so much better when the student loans are paid off, so that will be helpful. But apart from that, we'll see. I don't know.
Incredible. Well, yeah.
Okay, wait. I don't feel like we really scratched the surface of New York, though. Okay, so rehearsals were 2 weeks, you said?
Yeah, we had one. So we had 5 days of rehearsal.
Okay.
And then rehearsals were like half days though. They were not super long.
Okay.
And then we did a long day rehearsal on that Saturday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were tech.
Wow.
Thursday was the show. Friday was the show. Saturday was closing.
Oh my gosh. How did the shows go? Like, how did you feel? Like, acting-wise, audience-wise, everything.
Well, it's interesting because the show itself, I feel like I had said this to you before, but a lot of it, because of the way that the show was set up, the series of interrogations, a lot of it you're kind of talking and you're alone. So imagine, it was actually kind of a challenge for me because it's been a long time since I've had to do like 12-minute monologue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a long time to just be talking, you know? But
were you speaking like the whole time, or that's a lot to memorize, Mia?
There was a series. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe probably about 5. There were 5 lengthy monologues in the show. The longest I think was about 10 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
10 to 12 minutes, and I mean they were great. Like it was so fun. It was the most fun.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to be like, I've got this. Or 12 minutes, you know, and other things were happening, right? Other things are happening on stage, but it felt
like, are
really
you,
cool.
What is the monologue? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead first. I have a question.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm just like curious what the monologue was, serving, if that makes sense. Like you said that there were other, like some monologues are just like you're speaking like to a third wall or fourth wall or whatever, but like some monologues, like you said, there's things happening on the stage. Sometimes it's like a narrator type of vibe. Like what was
that was interesting there? That was kind of like that's part of what made these so fun, is because the nature of the show is a series of interrogations.
Yeah.
So in some way, the way that the show was staged in this production, the interrogator was out to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so was everyone else for the good chunk of the show. So really, we were reacting to each other without being in the same physical space.
Interesting.
So like if he bent down, I would be reacting as if he bent down.
Okay.
But we were separated. Like he was in the downstage corner.
Was like on stage technically, or in the fourth wall? Okay.
He was on stage. Yeah, he was on stage. But to me, he was the fourth wall.
Interesting.
Basically.
Okay.
And
so the spatial awareness really had to be
like kicked up. Well, and everyone was on stage the whole time. So there'd be different places where you would be like in the waiting room, or there'd be interactions between characters while other characters were talking. That would serve the story in some way.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, there's a responsibility that you have when you're, that kind of gets juggled. Like there's some circumstances where the monologue feels a little narratory, or a piece of it can feel narratory because you're telling the story of what happened. But also you're telling it in a very skewed character perspective. So there's always that subjectivity there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what made the play. Like if you lose the subjectivity, it tanks the play.
Right.
Because it's not
you,
interesting.
Like, expect it to be a certain person? Is that what you kind of are getting at?
Well, it becomes less interesting if everyone's just saying the same. Like if it was just one linear thing.
Yeah.
The point, like, for instance, if my character was telling a story about a picnic, if the story that I would tell about the picnic is the same as another character's,
yeah,
like the purpose of me telling the story about the picnic can't be so that the audience knows the story of the picnic.
Right. Oh my God, this
it has to be
like a show that I can't talk about on a certain streaming service that is really funny. But like different, obviously, but like in a same kind of vibe, like murder mystery kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a good kind of like comp if you're not familiar with this kind of thing where
I wanted to see it. Was it recorded at all? Was there any video?
I don't know.
You should ask and see if you can get it.
I should, but
well, also for your reel, if you wanted to add that, I guess.
I mean, it's the kind of thing where like I have that one scene, and it's
That's
kind
true.
of like,
and you really love that one. Which I'll speak for Chris because Chris really wants you to send that to us. So.
Oh, okay, I'll send it.
She really wants that. She's like, I want to see her work.
Okay, I will send it after this.
Okay, you don't have to, but well, you have to send it to her. But
what you said about like who are you talking to when you're talking for 12 minutes?
Yes.
Like that's such a fun exercise. Like it's just like that's where all of the training comes.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Because that's literally the first question that you ask in an audition when you're reading, like, wait, who am I talking to here?
Right. And I took a class. I'm probably going to get back into this particular class because I really enjoyed the technique. And also I think that this way of thinking has actually really, really, really helped my acting, especially for dialogue heavy stuff. And I like this class a lot, but I really like this class a lot, and a lot of it, and a lot of it is about getting reps and feeling comfortable using this kind of thing faster. But basically it's the principle is that everything you do and say has some sort of energy source. It's kind of like Actor in the Target. Have you ever read that?
No.
It's great. It's an incredible book on acting and directing. Okay. It's kind of like an annoying thing. It's an annoying thing to talk about, and this is kind of annoying. But I feel like
I like it.
I feel like this isn't annoying to you. So
no, it's not at all. I don't know what our audience is thinking because they're here for parks. So sorry, I said the word, but you know what I mean. I'll edit it. I'll bleep it out. Okay. No, I won't because I'm not editing. But we're not talking about it anyway. Go ahead. Actor in the Target, you said it's called?
Yeah, that's a book. This method is like everything that you talk about or everything you do on every action you have has a source, has an energy source is what it's kind of called. And after every piece of punctuation, so like every period, every comma, every whatever, there needs to be a change. And the change needs to be in what that energy source is. So like who you're talking to, what you're trying to make them feel, and then how you're doing it. So like who can be your scene partner or the memory of your mother when she said, I love you. You know what I mean? It can be literally like anything from super real to completely imaginary, as long as it's very real to you.
Yeah. And
then making it feel something specific. And then the how is something that is completely like bass. So loud, quiet, fast, slow. That's all the how that you need to think of. Okay.
Like how you're talking to this person, kind of?
Yeah. Okay. So like if I'm talking to you and I want you to feel loved, and the first time I did it quietly, and I still want to be talking to you and wanting you to feel loved, when the next piece of punctuation comes, I need to change at least the how. So maybe I need to be loud.
Ooh, what a puzzle. Okay, I'll have to read this.
Yeah, well, actually that's not in the book, but it's the principle of like, it's all about trying to do the thing to the thing instead of feel the thing and be the thing. It's
Yeah.
about doing the thing to the thing and making whatever that thing is real to you. And that really helped me navigate through those long things because you
Totally.
can't keep doing it talking to the same person. You'll drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, like, or in the same way, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I had an acting coach for that one like scary horror movie that was like 100 years ago that was shooting here. I had never really heard it before, which is stupid because I've taken acting classes, but that's kind of what she was saying too in one way or another was like not because I think so many times we're trained like of how do we feel about this scene? How do we feel as the character to like talk to this next person? But it's all like the way that you deliver your speeches or your lines or whatever is so based on what you want the other person to say back to you, like what it, and which I guess at the end of the day comes back down to goals, because she was like, well, by saying this, what do you want that your scene partner or this character to say back to you? Like, what do you wish that he would say? That's how you need to like deliver this line, even if that line doesn't come back to you in the way that you want it to. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't even think of it that way. That's so fascinating. And then the same thing happened with because there were like three different like not monologues at all, but like speeches, like chunks of dialogue. And she was like, you can't deliver those the same way, even though like your goal is the same at the end of the day. So like you need to put an emotion to each of those chunks. And again, I mean, I feel like I guess I just haven't, it's different. Maybe it's different in classes than it is like when you have like a tangible audition that you're thinking of. I don't know, but I feel like I should have been taught that stuff in class. Maybe didn't take the right scene study class. I don't know.
Well, no. I mean, I don't know.
You're
that
always
anyone would
learning, though.
ever.
I mean, that's the thing.
That
So,
is the thing. That is literally the thing. And I love the thing.
yeah, me too. We love the thing. That's gonna be the title. Well, I'll put "We Love Acting" instead, just because people don't know what the thing
Well,
is.
no, it's just like I think it's so interesting because I know that there's people. I have a lot of friends who feel at war with them, like they're always on the brink of I'm not gonna do this creative thing anymore. I'm like, there's this constant fight or
Mm-hmm.
struggle about whether they're going to continue on or not,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this intense grappling that seems cyclical almost like with my friends, where it'll happen maybe every 8 months or every other year. Like I have a couple friends on a couple different schedules of
Yep.
them
Or
being
shorter.
like, what
Every three
is
months.
everything?
You
Yeah.
gotta have a crisis. You have to have that, like, I don't know, breakdown of like, what the
But
fuck? Why am I doing
but
this
like,
again?
and I think that the that reminding yourself of the why is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think but I also feel like it's it's like it's an identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the thing that's in your bones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like there's no thing that's going to make you not
Do it.
do it. Like
Yeah.
it's literally who you are.
Well, I remember, and that can get tricky too, because then you have to really not base your self-worth on the identity that you have tied yourself kind of to, or that the universe has tied to you rather. And so you really need to make sure that there are other things in your life that are you as well. But I see what you're saying, where it's like it's more like biological or like chemical or something. You know what I mean?
Like if you like I'm trying to think of like a good way to ask this question that I want to ask you.
Okay, just ask
Like,
it and we'll see what
well,
happens.
well, no,
If I
no,
need clarification, I'll ask.
but like, what is something that you feel like lives within you, like something that no, like nothing could take away when it comes to your understanding of who you are.
Oh, interesting. The first thing for me that comes to mind is my family. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Is that like an answer to the question?
of
Um,
course.
yeah, I just feel like everything that I am, everything that I believe is because of not necessarily how I was raised by them, but like because of their ability to help me grow and guide me. You know what I mean? Like we don't always have the same ideas. We have a lot of the same ideas, but
Not all the same ideas. Okay.
But I always feel like supported and welcomed when I ask questions. So like that is to me what makes me who I am, and I wouldn't be who people know today without my mom and my sister. I mean, that's what comes to mind. What's one for you? Is it acting, or should I not have prompted you? What's one for you?
I shouldn't have asked you the question because now
Why?
I don't
'Cause you know
really
the
know how to
answer.
answer it. Well, no, because I don't really know the answer. But I mean, I guess part of why I brought that up is because I just feel like it's at least, yeah, I just feel like I'm an actor.
Mm-hmm. You are. Is there anything else though that like gives you meaning and purpose in who you are
Oh yeah, of course, of course. Um, I
that you can
think
think of off the
like
top of your head? I mean,
that I can think of off the top of my head that makes me who I am. Um, all of the things that I'm thinking of are kind of tied to my understanding of myself. So instead, like walking,
oh, interesting.
like literally walking,
Wait,
like
explain because
walking.
that is so fascinating to me, and I totally understand the train of thought that you're going through. At least I think I do. So now I want to hear what you're thinking.
Well, I'm just like regardless of, I'm just trying to think of if 3-year-old Mia
Mm-hmm.
and me, and I was drawing a line connecting all the Mias on the way.
Yeah.
There's a couple key things that have just remained unchanged.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is walking.
Mm-hmm.
Walking. It sounds so stupid. It sounds so stupid.
No, it
It sounds
doesn't.
basic. Because it sounds basic. It sounds basic. But like, and it's also just something that if it's within 35 or 40 minutes of a walk, I'm going to walk it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It must be some kind of,
Yeah.
I love walking.
It really feels to me like you're describing it almost like shower thoughts or like when like my if I'm being I think it's or driving and sleeping are the two places where I write songs the best. And
Mm. Can
which
you
is
tell me
so
about that?
weird.
Can you tell me about your songwriting process?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it in a minute because I've just been focused on the things. I really need to make myself do it. But like sometimes I feel like my best songs are when I can't focus on anything else. So like when I'm laying down to go to sleep and like right before I like drift off or as I'm trying to go to bed, I think of like lyrics and it's because like that's what people mean by shower thoughts, I think. Where you don't have anything else on your mind, and so you're able to actually kind of like focus in and think about what you want to say. And so my thing is lyrics first usually. Sometimes I come up with a melody to go with them, but for the most part it's lyrical. And sometimes they're not all finished in a day, whatever. But sometimes they are. And then for driving, it's kind of the same thing if I'm not listening to music or I'm just driving. And one of my like favorite songs was written driving back from an audition from in Dollywood down back to Nashville for like 4 hours or something. And it's really how again I can focus in on and I can sing back to myself without any distraction and like, no, wait, I don't like that rhyme there. Like I can change it to something else. And so there's nothing else that I'm like thinking of at the moment. There was another drive that I wrote a song when I was like really processing one of like a friend, like troublesome moment. And I really, again, this is where it's it's like twofold. One is like half of the art I feel is just the doing it, like the healing that comes from just doing the thing. But then the war that I always have with myself is producing the thing. So like getting it done, and like making it out into the world and sharing it with people, because that's why we make art and all these things. But there are so many times when just writing the song, just writing the screenplay, just writing the poem is the thing. That's it. That's all. You don't have to do anything else, even if it's like really amazing or really good. Like, you heal so much and learn so much just in that section of it. But I am just now coming around to that fact, where I feel like before, just type A me was always like, I have to put it out into the world because that's why we do this. But that's not why we do this. I mean, that's like part of it, but it's so much more than that, especially internally. But yeah,
well, so because it's who you are. Like, literally, it's because it's who you are.
Yeah. And so, like, I can tell too, like, when I get right, exactly, a part of who you are. Yeah, and I feel like that's another reason too, like, why so many artists, I think, are suffer from like depression, anxiety, that kind of stuff, because you can't always do it, like. Or you can't, like, set it up like a gym class and just, I mean, you can, but, like, you get, I don't know, I feel like a gym class or that kind of thing, if you're thinking in, like, absolutes and black and white kind of thing, and, like, I ran X amount of miles, I'm done, I'm good. I achieved it. But when you go in for your writing session, sometimes you'll leave with a blank page, and there's no ending to that. And so, like, you can't force it or like put it on a schedule all the time. And I guess you can in certain ways if you have help, but like if it's just you doing it, and even if you have like a co-writer or something, still sometimes it's like you leave with one line and you're like, okay, well, I guess we can build on that next time. So like there's no absolute in it, and so that's something that I'm trying to like think about as I keep going with it, because I feel I haven't done a show since the last one, which was in July, and I haven't.
That was literally a month ago.
I know! Wait, maybe it was end of June. It was end of June, so it's 2 months. But still 2 months, that's nothing. But for me, I can already feel like, okay, like, what are we doing? I need to do something. And, like, I always have this struggle, too, of, like, do I do the songwriting thing, or do I do, like, try to find a play? I don't know. Should I just write my own play and then put that, like, up? You know, the things that you think of. But, yeah so.
Oh, yeah. But it's interesting. It's interesting because, like, what you said about the making it a thing, like just making it is the thing sometimes. Right. I know so many people who get so depressed, and that really kind of is the word, when they start working on something and they get caught up in asking, what is it for?
Totally.
And the cloud of doom, appears, and it gets me thinking about Europe, and how how it's just so American of us to sit and be like creating art and being like, but what is this even for?
Yeah, like how can we monetize it? Maybe
right. It's like, well, because people like, yes, make money on your art, but also the idea of creative contribution to yourself and to whoever you want to share it with, like that's so valuable. Like, not to be an annoying person, but like,
this is not annoying.
Like, even if you wanted to lock yourself in a room and write an album and listen to it by yourself, I would be so happy for you.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to hear those songs.
I would like to hear those things.
It's really the truth. But I think that there's such value. There's such value in that. Like, cultural contribution is so real, because no one's going to remember the ebook that you made and sold for $5, that, like, but what they might is that great poem you wrote, that great song, that great anything.
But wait, what do you mean? Like, explain, what's the difference between the ebook and the poem? You mean like who you are as to like who you contributed culturally
Well,
to
okay,
yourself.
maybe the ebook isn't that nice of an example because people can like write a. I think when I say ebook, I mean like 10 quick guides to make money
I
on
see what you're
like
saying.
yeah,
Like
those
not
kinds
really
of
an artistic thing
yeah.
or creative or feeding
Something
the
that's not
soul.
meant to be something that's not meant to be that. Something that's more about, like monetizing.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Also, one of my things too, I mean, lately is that as I would say within the last 2 years, and it started really with like working out, honestly, because I used to look at working out as I have to go like 100 miles an hour. Like I have to do a full on workout. It has to be X amount of minutes and I have to give it my all. I can't do modified, blah, blah, blah. And that's just not the truth. Like, you can walk for 5 minutes and that's better than nothing. So my thing too has been like starting. Just starting is one of the hardest things. Like for songwriting, for like what I'm trying to do right now anyway, is just like if I have an idea, just like write it down. Like I am sometimes stuck in this thing of like I have to finish this song or I have to at least get to the end of the chorus or whatever it is. And maybe for other people that's like I have to finish this one scene or something. And also something that holds me back too is that I'm not a producer. So like, and this is for everybody. I don't think you can the second half of like making the thing and then putting the thing out. Putting the thing out, I feel, for me anyway, is where I have to really rely and be vulnerable on other people to help me put it out into the world and share it with the world, because I can't do that myself as far as like all the instruments and production part of it and things like that. And even like, I guess if you have a co-writer, you have to be really vulnerable with it too, but that's art in general. So like, what are you going to do about that? It's nothing you can change. So, but yeah, that's kind of something that I think about a lot, where I'm just like, just start something and then just take the leap. All of life is like leaping,
Yeah. And I think that when I was just moved out to LA, I was working as an assistant for the sitcom director. And one of the writers on the show that we were working on, I had asked him to get a coffee because I wanted to talk to him about writing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I was like, so what do you do? Like, do you write 5 pages a day? What do you do? And he was like, you're writing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a writer, you're a writer. If you're a creative person, you're a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be sitting at the piano to be writing a song. You don't have to be like walking. You can be walking. You can be in the shower. You can be falling asleep. You can be, getting your morning coffee. And it's about a mindset. It's about being like open and aware and looking for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea of looking for inspiration sounds maddening, but actually I think it's pretty energizing. Because then everything can become something to be curious about.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, and that really reminds me of, again, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but again, it does remind me of the whole, like, doing the thing is the thing. Like, and that's also something that I think a lot of us are learning nowadays with the time. Going back to what you were saying, with the time, sometimes the end goal, or, like, the end, how do I phrase this? The end isn't the goal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, doing it and finishing it or being famous after it is not the goal. It's where you are right now and what you can do right now. And that is one of the hardest things I think I will ever learn / continue to learn.
I just wonder, like, I feel like everyone has versions of this.
Yeah, I do too.
And I wonder, I don't know, maybe it's a conversation for like family at Christmas time.
Yeah, totally.
That's another intrinsically Mia trait.
Oh my God, I love it.
Thinking about,
oh my God,
asking probing questions to people who don't want to answer them. Um, uh,
Yeah. Imagining asking, like, I don't know, my uncle that or something would be really interesting. But to me, that is something that is so fascinating to me. Just like the deepest parts of people, which I think, I don't know, do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I don't know.
Or
I
that
think I
thing called
have
an
to.
ambivert or whatever?
Ambivert
Yeah.
is whatever. I don't know. I don't like. I like.
I don't
That's
really
like being
understand the ins
like.
and outs of that.
Like it's just like sometimes I'm this, sometimes I'm that. Like you're a person. I don't know. I think more often than not, I get my energy from being around people, right?
Mm,
So I think that in that way, I have to be an extrovert because I don't get
mm-hmm.
drained. My understanding of it is it's about
How
whether
you get your
you
energy.
get, yeah, do you get energized when you're in groups of people
Yeah.
or do you get energized with alone time?
Right.
And for me, I think I get more energized around people. Like again, like walking around being alone in New York, I was so happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you're
And
still around people.
I think it's because I think that's because I am more extroverted than introverted,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know.
You still,
What about
I
you?
mean, everybody needs their alone time. Well, the reason I ask that is because they say, or not they, but like I've heard that
They,
introverts,
they,
the universal
they.
they, and I agree with they, about about how introverts like don't want to. It's not that they like don't want to talk to you; it's that they don't want to talk like small talk kind of thing. Like they want to
Mhm.
have those meaningful, deep conversations, and that's why I kind of was asking that because I think I'm a closeted introvert, meaning that everybody thinks that I'm an extrovert because I can like be around people and everything, but it does actually drain me to be in a crowded group of people. I get my energy by being by myself, and I have to kind of back off when I'm feeling like overwhelmed with the amount of people in the room or how long I've been there or whatever it is. But they're like, especially as I've gotten older, I've like known this about myself because I used to do the same thing, and maybe that was like just getting older, but like I used to do the same thing in college. I would like go to a coffee shop and do my homework or something because I like to be around the people. But I don't know if that was extroversion, whatever that word might be me being an extrovert as much as it might have been just me being lonely. You know what I mean? So I wanted to be around other people. But I have definitely found that like I don't know, and that's why I think I like you, me, and Chris get along so well is because I feel like so many times we like immediately like find a person and we like go deep with them, like kind of immediately in sometimes a shocking way. Where they're like, wait, what? Didn't I just meet you? And we're like talking about your like, I don't know, family traumas. But
I'm just
like,
like, it
I'm just
doesn't
like,
have
what
to
the fuck is
be.
the point without it? And I think a lot of people are getting that way. And after COVID, like you're talking about, like, what is the point of the small talk? But I get the point of the small talk to a degree, but like, I'd just rather not.
Well, I think small talk is really for people who you actually dislike that you have to be around,
Interesting.
or people who you are determined to remain distanced with.
Oh, that's actually really interesting and wise, I feel. Because I think, yeah, I was going to say, I think I can talk about this. It's not a show. So Jessica St. Clair has a podcast with June, Diane Raphael, and they talk about how small talk is such an art form. And well, June is not, like apparently not as good at it. Whatever. Long story short, they never mentioned what you said, but like everybody they've mentioned or talked about is not someone that they like would stay friends with after they've small talked, I think. So like that might be where the distance thing comes in. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, because I think that the best case for small talk is, someone who you know that you don't get along with, but you have to be in the same room as.
Hmm. Or like your grocery store clerk or something
Right,
like
or
that.
like yeah, or someone who you're being polite to
Hmm.
by asking a question that you're not really listening to the answer.
Right. Well, but
Um,
see, for them, they like are listening to the answer. They're like trying to have like an almost conversation, knowing that they'll never see
if
them
you're at
again.
Trader Joe's, yeah, every time.
Oh my God, there's this one checkout dude at my Trader Joe's that doesn't do that, and I'm like, bless. Like I'll go to your lane every time. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't mind talking. Every now and again, I'll have a moment where I'm just like, yeah, I really like this shrimp because I'm gonna make this pasta with it. Blah, blah, blah. But other than that, I'm just like, okay.
Well, I think it's funny, and I hope that it seems like at least I'm hopeful for Gen Z. I
Hmm.
think that they're way more open to talking
Yeah,
about things.
that's interesting.
And I think collectively millennials are more preoccupied with other people's comfort, and it kind of
Hmm.
can manifest itself in a little bit of an anxious, avoidant
Yeah. Oh, that is so
politeness.
wise. Mia, you're so wise.
You are making my head the size of, I was
No.
gonna say like the size of my living room, but my living room is not that big, so it's not a great.
No, I think that's actually a really wonderful point, though, because they have this whole thing where Gen X, what is it, Gen Z, Gen Z is very like honest, sometimes to the point of blunt, and but we're just not used to it, kind of thing. Like if I don't want to work here, like I'm not going to work here. I want to be in that so badly, but I don't know how they do it. Like I guess they just get gig culture because I can't quit my job immediately. Although I'm getting there. I am getting there. Like I said, I'm getting there. So we'll see.
Like and subscribe, boss. Like,
Hit that subscribe button and smash the donate button.
is there like do you ever find yourself in small talk with someone though, and you can't believe the thing that just came out of your mouth? There've been a couple times recently where I've just been talking and I will say something very obvious. Now, oh, like small talk, it's about the weather. It's
Hmm.
about if there's anything that you both see at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But there was one period, it was maybe last week. I said something really stupid. And it as soon as it left my mouth, I was just like, who are
What
you?
is
Yeah.
this?
Like, why did you put your brain on autopilot for this one? Like, it didn't work.
Did they like? How did they react? Do you remember?
Didn't react.
Just didn't say
Just like,
anything.
yeah,
Okay.
totally. Cool.
That's so funny. I don't know that I've done that in small talk, but I've just done that in life.
I've done it in big talk. I've said dumb
Big
things in big
talk
talk.
and large talk. Where?
I think I think that's a great alt. That's a great like subtitle for this podcast is big talk.
Big
Large talk.
Big talk. Differences between big talk, small talk. Oh my god, that is hilarious. No, I feel like I do that frequently where I'll say something. I mean, I know I haven't done it in a while actually now that I say that, but maybe it's because I don't know. Whatever. But I do that sometimes where I'm just like, why did you say that? You're so stupid.
Well, because
But then
you grew up
they're
in the
not thinking about
South.
it.
Is there is was it just were you flooded with small talk growing up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that southern thing
Yeah.
of like we have to just kind of talk to people and try to make do with who we're surrounded by and all that kind of stuff. And my mom is like I feel like she's the same way where she was kind of like just kind of a product of her environment kind of thing where she had to and now she doesn't really want to as much. So as you grow and learn what you don't have the time for or energy for anymore or like what's not serving you, you're just like, okay, I don't need it. And so now I'm not as, it's not that I'm not good at it, I just don't really want to anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
What
gift
about
of
you?
freedom.
Did you have small talk?
In the Midwest, yeah. It was like
Oh
all
yeah,
small talk.
that's
Yeah.
true.
No
Oh
one
my gosh,
wants to
how was
be
camp, by the way? I didn't even ask about that.
camp was amazing. I got the award.
Okay. Okay, Mia,
Um
explain what camp is for you.
that's like another 2 hours
Okay,
of
well, brief it down and then we'll come back.
what camp means to me. Um uh Camp Michigania it's 1 week a year. It's a family camp through the University of Michigan. My father-in-law is the head of the screenwriting department there and is a screenwriter.
I didn't know
And
that. Did I know that? Maybe I did. Oh my God.
I'm
Okay.
sure you did.
I didn't know that about his relation to camp, though. Wow. Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So part of it is because he gives 2 of the nights a week he holds different events for the campers. So the first night, this this year's theme was based on a true story, and he
Mm-hmm.
kind of walked through a story ripped from the headlines and how you would go about making it a movie and what kind of decisions they would make when it comes to whose story is it to tell, what liberties can you take and still say that it's based on a true story, especially with all the blind side stuff that's coming out
Oh,
now. I'm not sure if
yeah.
you've heard about any of
I
that,
have.
but it's a really, it's a really interesting topic because no matter, it looks like you can kind of say based on a true story, but really loosely now.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's every year and we all go, Jake, me, his parents, his siblings, nieces, nephews. And during the day, all the kids like go to their like daycare, like they have their own like activities with kids
Yeah.
their own age. And then adults get to go do horseback riding and swimming in the lake, kayaking, yoga classes, different kinds of fitness classes. I did
Mm.
a sound bath. I had
Oh,
lots of hikes. I went on a mindfulness meditation hike where we would walk through the fields and then stop and write in our little journals and then keep walking.
that
It was
sounds
just,
great
it's the
and
most,
such a dream for you.
it was just, yeah, no, truthfully, I just talked about like walking, like
Yes.
literally. I think I was in heaven going from New York to going to camp. And I was just so, so, so happy walking around, just like taking everything in.
Yeah.
But it was just
The
amazing. And
timing
so
of that is so lovely and divine, I feel, and meant to be.
it really, really, really was.
I don't
Um,
know why in my head I thought that it was your family, but it's because I haven't asked about. I knew that it was like you had explained a little bit about it, but oh my gosh, that is so cool. And so it's like for anybody to come to.
no, it's a lot of the families. It's kind of an old camp, so a lot of the families that have been coming for years and years and years,
So is it like a
like
Dirty Dancing type of
generations.
vibe?
That's exactly the vibe.
Okay, okay.
It's so fun. It's so fun. It's very Dirty Dancing. It's like green and lush in northern Michigan, so there's mountains and lakes and
Oh
or
my
not
God.
mountains, but like hills or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, but they're tall and scenic too.
Of course.
Um, but yeah, and at the last night they give away awards, and if you do things a certain amount of time, so I got the OMA award. I got the Buff Like Puff award because I did all the TRX classes they
Oh,
offered.
is the Om Award the
Um,
meditation one?
that's for yoga and mindfulness, I think. So
Okay,
it's
okay.
part, and then Fitness Wizard because of all the classes that I took, and Explore Award for going on a certain amount of hikes.
Oh my
I
God.
was like
Yes, yes,
swimming
yes,
in it, swimming
yes.
it. No, but it's just like always such like the nicest, most healing
Yeah,
week.
that sounds like amazing. And I love adult camps. I feel like so many people talk about it and how it's just like, ugh, that sounds great.
I know, and there's like really great food at the cafeteria,
Mm,
and you
that's
can
always
even
helpful.
like this is actually, I think this is also a trademark of my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Is I would go into the cafeteria and I would be very creative in my decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say they're offering, I don't know, let's say they're offering whatever it is. I would always find a way to make it something a little bit different, utilizing a microwave in different ways, like lots of pivots. I would always come to the lunch table and would be like, what is that? Like, well, uh, I made fajitas out of the vegetable bar, and then I used the whatever. Like, because it was just so fun when you have like all the ingredients to a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like kind of like kid reversion a little bit, but also like not. I don't know. It was just the sense of play at camp is
Oh my
it.
gosh. That is so valuable. Sense of play. I love that. How often do we get that? That's amazing. Wait, so as far as the food goes, is it like a food bar, or they always have like the same thing? Or you said vegetable bar, but like is it buffet? How does that work?
They have like made to order things, so they'll have like Mexican night where they'll make things, or like stir fry night, pasta toss night, but then they also have like mainstays, but they're really famous for their soft serve, which the soft serve is really good, but not something that I want every day. Yeah. But very good.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
It was really all very fun. All just like and then mostly just spending time with the family, and like especially my niece and nephew. It's crazy how fast they grow up.
Oh my God.
And you see the difference between, a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Well, and especially if you don't see them all the time to like really track the differences, it's like you will really see the passage of time.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm so glad you got to do that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, Mia, you are so wise and so wonderful, and I'm so happy that you could come on the show today.
Oh, thank you. It felt like just catching up.
It really was.
I'm not sure how listenable this is. I'm not, for as many podcasts that I listen to, I'm not a if you don't end up wanting to air this, my feelings will not be hurt.
Oh, I'm airing it no matter what. I may or may not, depending on how I feel, cut out the first part when we were trying to figure out our recording shit and our connections to the internet.
You don't think that's compelling?
How interesting and deep. Oh my God.
Is this performance art?
Like, what? Because, like, also, another thing, too, that I, like, don't think is necessary with these, especially because I write the captions and hopefully people will, like, read them. But, like, I don't know. I was trying to, like, introduce people, and that's really the only thing that we did in the first part, although you did talk about New York a little bit, so I'll see what happens. But I'm, like, I kind of like the idea of just kind of, like, slice of life, just dropping in. No one knows. You're just, like, listening like a fly on the wall to our friend conversation. I kind of like that idea too.
I love that. Whatever framing device you need.
Okay.
I'm in full support of.
Because I kind of like that too. I was telling Chris about this on the last one where I was like, I just really like some of my favorite podcasts are just two like gals talking, like two close friends talking. Like they don't have to really say anything about anything, but like somehow it takes twists and turns that you didn't expect it to. And then you're just like, I love that I was here to witness this.
There's a podcast, I haven't listened to it, but it's basically about gossip. Have you heard of this?
I don't think so.
It's like other people's gossip.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
I'm like,
do you know what it's called?
I bet if I look it up, I can figure it out. But
is it two girls or guys or both?
I think it's maybe one girl you write in your situation.
Oh.
Or maybe two of them, or you like interviewed about what's going on. I don't know. I need to do some research, but I remember the idea was that it's like other people's drama or something.
Yeah. Well, it's just reminding me of that one, the guy on SNL, Bowen Yang, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Has a podcast called Las Culturistas that I haven't listened to yet, but I've heard it's really good. And I think they do kind of similar things, but like pop culture maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm being wrong about that. Either way.
I'm seeing Rachel Bloom tonight.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for you.
I know, I'm excited for me too. I feel I got 2 tickets and I thought that Chris was going to be able to come.
Oh, but, yeah. But Megan's in town.
Yeah, Megan's in town.
And Megan.
Hi, Chris and Megan, if this is in the podcast.
I'm sure it will be. So watch yourself.
You're like,
I'm just kidding.
No.
You would never.
But they sold out. Because they were going to try to get another ticket.
For Megan to come, you mean?
Yeah.
I see. Okay, where's she playing?
Dynasty Typewriter.
Oh my God, I really want to go to that. I've heard so many people have gone there. Where is that? Like, where
I'm so
in town
excited.
is that?
I've actually never been. It's like kind of Westlake-ish.
Okay, okay. Well, speaking of that, actually, I'm glad you said this because Mark Maron plays there quite frequently. And did you listen to Jessica Chastain's interview with Mark Maron?
When was that?
Oh my God, I'll send it to you. It was like 2 weeks ago, maybe. And I was like, I meant to send it to you or like text you about it, but I was like, Mia! Oh my God. And she's like so cute and she doesn't really talk about like, I don't know. I kind of was expecting, I don't know what I expected. I kind of expected like some deep like actory talk, but she's just a gal just out here in the world doing her thing, just like you are, you know?
Just like me. Just
but
like
even Mark
me.
Maron like had some preconceptions too, because in his intro thing, he's like, "Oh my gosh, she's like a superstar. She's like everything," and of course. But then they just had a nice conversation, and it was really nice to hear. I still have to watch a show that she's in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too.
Are they not going to do the Emmys this year? You think?
I think they're pushing them back
because it's meant to be next month. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, but no way.
No way. I don't know. What's your prediction, Mia? Do you think that this will go on for the end of the year? Because I kind of do.
Yeah.
I hope not. I don't want it to.
I don't think. I was reading some of the updates today, and it seems like they're not going to get the language that they need from the AMPTP.
Yeah,
and the leak to the press was so bad. It literally, I think, broke union rules. So now they're going to have to deal with...
which leak? You mean like of their meeting, their most recent meeting?
Of their offer.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so they leaked it earlier this week, and it's a big no-no because they had agreed on both sides to have a media blackout so that they could move things along faster. So it's obviously a show of ill will that they did that. And the language is so vague that even the concessions that it looks like they're making, people are worried because the language is so vague that there's a million loopholes.
Right. Oh my God. I've talked about that ad nauseum, I feel. Well, if you see anything...
I'm nervous about the SAG stuff because this is just WGA stuff, but
right.
Who knows with the SAG stuff and the SAG election
has to go first, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw the elections are happening. Yep.
Yeah. So
if you see any news, like that you're just looking and reading, this goes for Chris too. Chris, can both of you please send me literally anything that you're reading that you find, even if you think that it's not much, because I'm like finding some and I'm Googling some, but I would just be interested to what the algorithm might be showing you and not showing me or whatever. So.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I'll send you anything that makes its way to me that is interesting to look at.
Yeah.
You do the same, please.
Or even not interesting. I don't care. If it's anything about it, I want to read it.
Even if it's just something stupid.
Yep.
Look at what this dummy has to say about the strike.
I mean, I basically did that, not in those words, but I basically did that with that article that I sent you about the Friends writer. It wasn't, because for me, I was like, the way they posted it or something, or maybe it's just because I'm so in tune with the strike right now, I don't know, that I thought it was like kind of clickbait for the strike, but it wasn't really. It was just a story about something not being the right fit and how hard the job is and whatever. So
I hadn't read the article yet, but
it's interesting. I think it's interesting, especially if I think even if you are in the industry, but especially if you aren't, I think that it's really fascinating to just hear. And I'm also a huge fan of the show, that I shouldn't have just said, but like, so it was really interesting to me to hear that, you know. But anyway,
yeah.
Well, I love you very much.
I love you very much. I will talk to you soon off mic.
Yeah, and have so much fun at Rachel Bloom. And
Thank you.
This is just really, I'm going to text Chris afterwards and just say, like, when are we all getting on here together? And then you can go to her house and be in her cute little booth with her.
Amazing.
You can squeeze in there. Okay, well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.